Hello everyone. I'm wanting to talk about something, and I'm wanting to talk about the different types of gaming experience you would get between the iPhone or iPod Touch, the DS, in this case is the DSi, or in the PSP. Now, we're not really going to talk about the Game Boy Advance because these are the three main gaming platforms currently right now. And you will get different experiences on each platform. Now, let's go in order between most installed base versus least. So, of course, let's go with well, okay, I'll just go in my order then. Screw it. Let's start with the iPhone. Now, unlike the PSP and DS, the iPhone or iPod Touch, has it's essentially a touchscreen device. And sure, at least the iPhone in this case, has some volume switches and a power button, but it really only has one home button. And this home button, that home button down there, this thing here, you can't use it for games because anything you launch, say the stocks for example, this is pretty useless to me, but oh look, shows you how good the economy is. But yeah, you can do anything you want, but when you press the home button, it goes back home, goes back to your home screen. You can press it again and it'll give the search, but really this interface is very similar to how the Wii interface is. You got all these different icons, and the Wii calls them channels, and they're just a bunch of icons that you scroll through each page. So if you like this interface, then you'll be familiar with how the Wii interface is. Which is kind of weird actually, because the DS interface, or at least the DSi, the interface is not really similar to how the Wii is, but the iPod Touch and iPhone interface are. Ironic. But you got a wide array of different types of games. You got casual type games, like a bunch of free ones like Boxed In. It's a puzzle game, it's loading, and then you essentially go around, and I just screwed up. You go around, exit, like that. When you're done, press the home, goes back there, and you got more recognizable type games like Arkanoid, of course. Awesome game for the iPhone. I recommend this game. Now the good thing about the iPhone is that it has speakers. Well, it has one. On the bottom here, of course, when you're looking at it, it's like, oh cool, stereo speakers. No, one of them is a speaker, the other one's a microphone. So, there you go. But you got more hardcore type games like Gangster, which is a Grand Theft Auto clone. And the problem with those types of games, you got like Resident Evil on this platform and everything. The problem is when you play those types of games, they give you fake buttons on the screen. So you got like a fake analog stick and a fake button or two, and you use that. The problem is, people complain about how bad this thing is. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it's not perfect. But if you thought this was bad, trying to emulate an analog stick on a touchscreen just doesn't work. Okay? This is essentially like first generation DS games all over again, where they try to emulate controls on the touchscreen. Those types of control methods do not work. And at least with the DS, most developers pretty much, you know, got over that fad when the DS came out. You know, like Ridge Racer with the fake, when they try to emulate a steering wheel with the touchscreen and all that, it just doesn't work. At least this has tilt control. So if you play like Need for Speed Undercover, the way you steer is you actually tilt the iPhone or iPod Touch because it has a gyroscope in it, much like how the Wii has, you know, tilt thing, and the PlayStation 3 controller with its 6-axis controller. Games that work best on here are casual, pick up and play, couple of minutes, interval type games. Now, let's go on the other side, and this is the PSP. You know, I'm not going to get into too much, but the experience you get on here are more hardcore type games. This is meant for the more hardcore crowd. Sure, there are people out there, or most people, that would buy this simply just to hack it and play emulators on it, which, you know, this is not hacked, but this one is. But this one's not. And, you know, you can actually play some really deep games on here. And, you know, I like it, you know. I like all three systems, but, you know, surprisingly, I'm probably one of the few PSP owners out there that actually do play a lot of actual PSP games on here. And with the new release, with the recent release of the Go, and with the new PSP mini games, you know, you got smaller type games that would usually appear on an iPhone. It's also on here now. So, you know, you got games like God of War, Gran Turismo, MotorStorm recently came out. You know, these are all hardcore type games. Well, Gran Turismo is not really hardcore, that's in its own camp. But this is usually dedicated for hardcore gamers. Now the DS, this is the DSi, but the DS is actually kind of in the middle. You got both casual games and hardcore games. With they recently released Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars on the PSP, but obviously, if you know, it was originally a DS game. And, you know, that filled the hardcore crowd, but, you know, they didn't really sell too well. But, like I said, you know, if you're looking for a system that, you know, that you want a wide range of game types, but still have the controls, but also have touchscreen, you know, the DS is actually a good middle ground system. Now, if you're looking to do more, you know, either the iPhone or the PSP would be a better way to go. But in terms of strictly for gaming, the DS is a good middle ground system. So, you know, back in the day, you know, we had these Game Boys systems. You know, there's a Game Boy Micro, and, you know, you use these cartridges. And you have to carry around those things. These days, you know, sure, the DS and PSP, you know, they have their game cards, UMDs, stuff like that. But with the recent release of the PSP Go and pretty much all the other versions of the PSP will have the same functions, you know, this is getting more of a dedicated digital device, and the iPhone and iPod Touch are strictly digital. And the DS, well, with the DSi, you know, it has the DSi store, which are downloadable games that you can download to the internal memory. And we're starting to see that more and more on these handheld systems. So it's going to be interesting when Nintendo and Sony release the next generations of their handhelds and just see how they actually go and everything. So that's just my take on this. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here. Like always, have a good one.